Buckle up, because today we're diving into something you might not expect.
Oh, yeah.
The surprising ways success can well fail us.
Interesting.
We're time traveling back to 1998
Okay.
to a packed room in New York City.
Gotcha.
Imagine the peak of the dot-com boom.
Right.
Wall Street's on fire.
Yeah.
Everyone's chasing the American dream.
Everybody's trying to get a piece.
But in this whirlwind of ambition,
Yeah.
Timothy J. Keller, a pastor known for his sharp takes on culture,
Okay.
steps up to deliver a sermon titled "To Die for Success." And let me tell you, he doesn't pull any punches.
Wow. So we're talking about success today,
We are.
but like from a different angle?
From a very different angle.
This sounds kind of counterintuitive.
It really is. It's brilliant, really.
Oh, okay.
Here's Keller right in the heart of this greed is good era,
Right in the thick of it.
challenging the very definition of success.
Yeah.
Especially in a city that worships it.
That tracks New York City.
Right. He doesn't just critique the system.
Okay.
He dissects why this chase for the corner office,
Yeah.
the fat paycheck, often leaves us feeling emptier than we were at the starting line.
I like that analogy.
Keller argues that success, as we often define it,
Okay.
flat out fails to deliver on its promises.
Interesting. So he's saying that success can actually lead to a sort of emptiness.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he breaks those promises down into three big ones:
Okay, let's hear them.
security, importance, happiness.
Things we all want, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Keller argues that success, especially the way we often chase it,
Okay.
can actually sabotage our shot at these very things.
That's a pretty bold claim. So how does he back that up?
Well, he kicks things off with security.
Security.
And to illustrate this point, he launches into this almost unbelievable story
Okay.
about a hedge fund called Long-Term Capital Management.
I've heard of them. Weren't they like Wall Street hotshots?
They were. These guys were financial rock stars
Okay.
managing more money
Right.
than the entire annual economic output of China.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And yet,
And yet.
they still managed to crash and burn.
So even with all that success, they weren't immune to failure.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that even those at the top,
Yeah.
the ones who seem untouchable,
Right.
can experience sudden and dramatic insecurity.
Because nobody's really safe from those kinds of crashes.
Exactly. This hedge fund was deemed too big to fail.
Right. Until it wasn't. It's like the universe's way of saying, think you're safe up there on that pedestal.
It really is.
Uh,
But Keller doesn't just deal in high finance cautionary tales.
okay.
He brings it down to earth
Okay.
with the story of a young, successful woman
Mm-hmm.
whose life gets flipped upside down by a sudden illness.
Oh, wow.
This really drives home the point that no amount of achievement
Yeah.
can truly shield us from life's curveballs, right?
Yeah, nobody's immune to that.
And this is where Keller's insight into human nature really shines.
Okay, how so?
He argues that success can trick us into thinking we're more in control than we really are.
I see.
When things go well, we often chalk it up to our own brilliance, our hustle,
Right, our talent.
our talent. But that can lead to a dangerous blind spot.
Because we start to think we can control everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you believe you're the architect of all your good fortune,
Okay.
you're less likely to prepare for the inevitable storms.
Right here. You're not ready for when things go south.
And when they hit harder. So what's the answer?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. Where do we find real security, if not in our achievements?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what he has to say about that. Well, Keller would argue that true security can't be found in external validation,
Okay.
in the size of our bank accounts or job titles.
Hmm.
He argues that real security comes from a deeper source,
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of deeper source?
a sense of meaning and purpose
Okay.
that transcends the ever-changing tides of fortune.
It's about finding that solid ground within ourselves, that place where we're not constantly tossed around by external circumstances.
Okay, so that's security. But what about importance? Don't our achievements at least give us a sense of significance?
That's an interesting question, and it's something Keller addresses directly.
Okay, what does he say?
Well, he would argue that true importance isn't about external validation either.
Okay, so then where does it come from?
He uses a powerful analogy comparing achievement to the alcohol of our time.
Achievement alcohol.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay,
Just like with alcohol, the more we chase the high of achievement, the more we need to maintain it.
I see where you're going with this. We get hooked on that feeling of accomplishment, that pat on the back.
Exactly. And just like with any addiction, the more we get, the more we crave. That next promotion, that bigger house, that standing ovation.
It's never enough to satisfy the craving.
Exactly. And soon we're stuck on this treadmill of achievement, constantly chasing after the next hit, never really feeling satisfied.
So we end up dependent on external validation for our sense of worth.
And that leaves us feeling deeply insecure and inadequate deep down.
So how do we break free from this cycle? How do we find a true and lasting sense of importance?
It starts with recognizing our inherent worth.
Okay.
Not as something we earn through achievement, but as something that's already there.
So basically, we need to recognize that we are inherently worthy simply because we exist.
Yes, because we are part of something much larger than ourselves.
And this ties back to his faith, right? The idea that we have inherent value because we're created in the image of God.
Yes, but you can connect with this idea even if you're not coming from a religious perspective.
Okay, how so?
It's about recognizing that our worth comes from within, from who we are at our core.
Not from what we achieve or accumulate.
Precisely.
This resonates with me. I bet it does for a lot of listeners out there too. So much of our identity gets wrapped up in what we do. But what if we detached our sense of self-worth from our job titles or our income brackets?
That's the real challenge, isn't it? To decouple our identity from our achievements and find that inner confidence that doesn't hinge on external validation.
Okay, so we've tackled security and importance. But surely success must deliver on happiness, right? That's what we're all ultimately striving for, isn't it?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But Keller would argue that even happiness can be elusive.
Really?
Especially when it's directly tied to success.
I never thought of it like that, but I guess it makes sense.
He shares this incredibly poignant story about Sophia Loren. Here she is a global icon, living what appears to be a charmed life.
Right.
But she describes feeling an emptiness, a void at the center of it all.
It's like she climbed to the top of the ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall.
Exactly. And she's not alone.
So it's not just a Hollywood thing.
No, not at all. Think about all the stories we hear about celebrities, athletes, even business moguls.
Who seem to have it all: fame, fortune, power.
And yet they're struggling with addiction, depression, or just a general sense of unhappiness.
It's like all those things we use to distract ourselves from that inner emptiness.
The striving, the achieving, the acquiring.
They all fade away when we reach a certain level of success.
And then what? We're left face to face with ourselves.
With that fundamental question of what will truly make us happy.
It's a question many of us grapple with.
It really is.
And Keller offers a surprisingly counterintuitive answer.
So if chasing happiness through success is a recipe for disappointment,
Yeah.
what's the alternative? How do we actually find it?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It really is.
Well, Keller suggests that true happiness isn't something we find by directly seeking it.
Oh, interesting. So it's not about chasing happiness. Then what is it about?
He argues that it's a byproduct of a life lived with purpose.
Okay.
A life oriented towards something bigger than ourselves.
Something bigger than ourselves.
Okay.
So it's about chasing something else entirely, something that gives our lives meaning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about identifying what truly matters to us,
Okay.
what we're passionate about, and then aligning our lives with those values.
I see. So instead of asking, will this make me happy? We should be asking, does this resonate with my values? Does this feel meaningful to me?
Precisely. And you know what's interesting?
Okay.
This idea of finding happiness through purpose is echoed by a lot of modern research.
Really?
Yeah, they've found that people who have a strong sense of purpose tend to be happier, healthier, and even live longer.
It's like having that why that drives you after your life direction makes all the difference.
And that's what makes Keller's message so powerful even after all these years. It's a call to look inward. To examine our own lives, our values, and to ask ourselves, what are we truly living for?
What are we truly living for? That's a big one.
That is, are we chasing empty accolades?
Or are we building a life that feels meaningful, authentic, and yes, ultimately joyful?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? It's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes not from external validation,
but from a deep alignment with our own values and a commitment to something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot.
What do you mean?
Where our passions and our contributions intersect.
Okay.
Where we can truly say we're living a life of purpose.
I like that. A life of purpose. So there you have it, a deep dive into the surprising ways success can fail us.
And the unexpected places where we can find true and lasting happiness.
It's a message that challenges us to rethink our priorities, to redefine success on our own terms.
To really figure out what success means to us as individuals.
Exactly, and to embrace the journey of discovering what truly makes life worth living.
It's about finding that unshakable sense of purpose and meaning
that sustains us through life's inevitable ups and downs.
Exactly.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. If success as the world often defines, it is the answer what is.
What does it truly mean for you to live a meaningful and fulfilling life?
We hope this deep dive has given you much to ponder. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep driving deep into the heart of what truly matters.